One second. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Hola clase and hola Ari. I'm going to talk to you all today about Enrique Morales Moya. A little bit about him. He was born on February 12th, 1955, and passed away on July 3rd, 2000. He has many international recognitions, specifically 2 awards that he was praised for, which were known as the Golden Lion Award and the Sterling Prize. Furthermore, he studied at the Barcelona School of Architecture at the Universitat Politècnica de Catalunya, and later in his life, him and his second wife, Benedetta Tagliabue, formed Morales Tagliabue EMBT, which is the name of the firm. And some of his unique design characteristics are large building materials, the organic environmental influences, and free-form buildings. Furthermore, he was not only an architect, but was an adjunct professor at many universities, both in Europe, Spain, and the United States. And some well-known universities he was at in the United States was Harvard, Princeton, and Columbia. So now I'm going to go through some of his works in chronological order. The first one is the Igualada Cemetery, which a unique characteristic is how it was built onto a hillside, and he was managed to fuse them together to make them very symbiotic and cohesive. The next is the Olympic Archery Range, and if you look to the right is the floor plan. And the reason why I thought this was interesting was because it was very organic, and there was no fine formal design or organization. It kind of just is there and sprawled out, which I think is beautiful. The next is Pergola for the Besieged Nova Icaria, which is unique because those are supposed to represent trees, because they wanted to add trees there, but they were unable to, so he just designed structures that resembled them. Next is a Parc de Diagonal Mar, and I thought this was a beautiful use of space and very functional, and it was really the things that you don't see that I thought were so interesting, like the irrigation system there, and just how beautiful the greenery is as well, with the metal structures, which are unique, and there was some inspiration by Gaudi in these as well. Next we have the Scottish Parliament building, and I use this picture because I thought that gave a perfect representation of what I thought is unique about it, which is that it's sprawled and organic, and how the building almost looks like it's moving. The next is the Edifici de Gas Natural, and I thought it was beautiful, the glass nonetheless, but the floating building and the floating section I thought was very cool. Next is a public space in Western Haven City, Hamburg, and I thought it was it's unique how cities are moving more towards the fusion of greenery and nature into the urban fabric of the city. So I thought this was a awesome representation of that. And finally, the Santa Catarina Market Hall. And my favorite part and a unique characteristic about this is how we have the remnants of the convent in the very back, which just shows how Enrique Morales Moya really prioritized the past and how we created a unique fusion of the past and the present. Cool. And off that, we're going to continue on with the Santa Catarina Market. As I mentioned, it was from the destruction of the convent that they were able to build a market there back in 1848. And through the rehabilitation program in Barcelona, they were able to commission Enrique Morales Moya to redesign it. I mentioned how the new and the old with the convent, as well as putting a new renovated market on top of a previous market. And Morales Moya focused mainly on the internal layout of it, as well as the public space that he created in the very forefront, which we see in the background image. For structure, we see a lot of irregular wooden vaults, steel beams, which you see in the background of this image, concrete bases as well, and then large arches, which were actually, you can see back here. Furthermore, there is no original market structure in the inside or centrally located area of this building. For building materials, the facade and some of the outer walls were reconstructed in 1988. They stuck primarily to concrete, iron, wood, and ceramics, which we see the ceramics on the ceiling and roof. And the roof is actually, in Moya's words, a deck floating on the sea, which is what inspired him. Next is the edifice gas natural. It's again a fusion of the old to the new because this gas company's building was built on top of the very first gas factory in the city. It's in the Barceloneta community, and its fragmented design has three parts, which is the overhang, the floating section, and then the main form, which I'll talk about later on. So now that we have that, we see that the body is actually 20-story office building with the floating portion protruding off of it. And then we have the overhang, which in the previous image connected the gas natural building to the adjacent building. And this is unique because it is said that it creates a door for the citizens of Barcelona, which just shows how, with architecture, it can show the priorities of a city, because it didn't create an invasive structure in the middle of a community for the workers solely. It created a public space for the company and the citizens to enjoy. As for the building materials, we see that it's covered in glass, specifically 18,000 square meters worth of glass, and they purchased this glass from an Italian architecture company known for their work on the Guggenheim in Bilbao. Now we have the Scottish Parliament building. A little bit about this again, with the fusion of the old and the new, which Enrique Moyas loved to do, and did so through symbols, specifically Scottish symbols, and a lot of the design was influenced by the Scottish landscape, culture, and people. As for the structures, we're going to have to get into those. We have the entrance building, which is the main foyer, and the debating chamber, which is directly above it. And this goes to show, there's a metaphor for this design where they say that the debating chamber where all the representatives work is only standing due to the power and support from the people below, because the entrance building is where most of the civilians and people are. Next, we have the assembly building, which is mainly made for committees and smaller groups, and the Canongate building is more for the financial and management sector of those works. And then in the background, we do see the debating chamber. And then if you take a look at the ceiling, I'm going to reference that later on, but it's just a very unique and beautiful ceiling. Now, for each building, we have each individual characteristics. So the entrance building, its design is, its primary material is concrete, and it has the strong nationalistic symbols like the Scottish flag, which makes sense because that's where most people enter. Next is the debating chamber, which you saw on the previous slide, and this is known for its intricate ceiling and roof, which we saw made out of oak and stainless steel. Next is the assembly building, which is designed to enhance luminescence, so it is very bright and has a good flow of light. And the Canongate building is made primarily of metallic and concrete materials and has vaulted ceilings. Now for the synthesis or the comparison. So off the bat, once I was researching Enrique Morales Moya, I thought directly of the Modernismo movement with architects like Antoni Gaudí and Domenici Montaner. I saw the similarities through their organic design and how imaginative they both were, and I even tied in, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but the German word for total work of art, because Enrique Morales Moya even said that it is not just the building, but the details and the design of the furniture that is a real work of art, which goes hand in hand with Gaudi and Domenici Montaner in the way that they all felt about architecture and design and the construction of their artwork. And here I have some images comparing the two architects. On top left is the Sagrada Familia, and the top right is the Santa Catarina Market, and you can see how the columns both branch off in either building, and for the sake of the Santa Catarina Market, it looks like they're holding up. That's like the high rise of the trees, and it looks like that's the bushes of the trees. And then the bottom left we have Casa Batlló, and to the bottom right we have the Scottish Parliament building. And we learned that the Casa Batlló was inspired by the horse's leg because it had such thin legs, but was able to hold up such a large horse. And I kind of tied that into the Scottish Parliament building, not in the sense that it looks like a horse, but that it took on organic form inspired by nature. And you can see that the Scottish Parliament building it looks like leaves almost falling, and it looks like the building is moving. And if you were to take any piece of that building away, you would be able to easily identify where it came from just because of how cohesive the design is. But yes, on to the conclusion. Enrique Morales Moya was a fantastic artist. Not only did he create beautiful designs, but they were pragmatic and functional and well thought out. And whether it be the Santa Catarina Market, the Edifici de Gas Natural, or the Parliament building, the Scottish Parliament building, his work was beautiful, well planned, and unique. And I believe that all the awards and international, domestic praise that he received, he was definitely deserving of. So yeah, here are my references. Thank you very much.